Welcome. Good to see you, Joe.
Hey, great to see you, Dustin.
Yeah, man. So today we're talking about living your purpose or your calling
Hmm.
and what that means to us, our journeys with it, what just lights us up about it,
Yeah,
how that's manifesting for us, the challenges, the struggles, that climb up the mountain, as they say, and just nerd out on this for a bit. Um, So I'd like to start by asking you, what do you, how would you, because we talked about calling versus purpose,
yeah.
how would you define what we're talking about in your own words? Like, what does calling or purpose mean to you?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
it's interesting. Every time I feel like I encounter those words, it forces me to like be in the moment and think about it again. Like I don't have a standard or figured out answer for that. Um, I think how I've experienced it most in life has felt almost more like being in flow, being in my purpose. Is when I feel most connected, most alive, um, and how the times in my life that I've experienced that I feel like it most correlates to being in flow, and when I've been excited about what I was doing in life, connecting with others, experiencing growth, feeling very centered in my own life. I feel like I have options, and by that I mean like I'm moving toward. Oh man, this is funny. It's a tricky question. I even in my own answer, I'm getting lost. I think one of it is just like it. I think I heard growing up and thought for a long time that to know your calling or purpose was much more of a physical, vocational. Like, what are you going to do with your life? What's your job title? I think early on, I was a builder and a contractor. And so like someone would ask like what is my purpose of be like to be a great builder. I want to build, like X number of places that are safe and attractive, and I've been really grateful that understanding has shifted in the last 10, 15 years is being much more about internally for me, how I'm showing up, how I'm connected with what I feel attracted and drawn toward, which is something we share a lot of, and that is empowering myself and others to know themselves better, to show up as themselves, to be able to feel empowered to have the relationships that inspire, that comfort, that excite, and an agency to make choices that lead me further on in that. And I feel like those are the times I've felt most aligned, is when I'm showing up in that. When I am daily giving myself time to meditate, to pray, to be connected to myself, to give space around my thoughts, to be out in nature. I think it's been fascinating how I've seen when I take time to do that, how much more connected and purposeful the other actions in my life feel. Whether that be conversations and relationships in any of the businesses I've been a part of. Um, and, uh, and and so I don't have a very concise answer. Like um, it feels a little bit elusive to nail that down for me, just like specific language. And it's more of a participating with what ignites and lights my soul on fire. And more than anything else in my life, that's been self-empowerment and helping others show up for themselves. And so that at this moment, that's what it feels like is most connected to my calling, or most in flow with me, is showing up in that way. I'm really interested in your understanding, kind of definition of how you would describe your purpose um, and calling. Is that they're interesting words and what you feel. Yeah, flesh those out.
Yeah, I know when we were talking about it before, how we came to this, topic is we seem to have different definitions of those words.
Yeah.
Purpose seemed to land more. Callings had some stuff around it that didn't really resonate for you, which is interesting just how much power words have.
Mm.
Yeah. So for me, what's so exciting about dog is going ape on her toy right now, which I swear she knows. She is like trying to get my attention. It's funny.
Yeah.
So whether it's purpose or calling, to me it means I'm living on a soul level in harmony with a level of service and connection with community and world that is most aligned with my skills, talents, and gifts
Mm.
that light me up in a way where it seems like I'm not even working.
Mm.
I'm grounded in a sense of it's like living my purpose is I am operating on a soul level where I am in joy and I'm showing up to the best of my ability, also in a way of ease because it's natural to my talents and skills and gifts. So I would say that's the high end of it.
Mm.
Because I'm doing that, or at least I know I'm making progress on that journey, I'm also extremely grounded and at peace.
Mm.
And it's like my soul is just like, okay. And that's where it has nothing to do with work. It's nothing to do with a job.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with a career even, actually. It's just, I'm presently being lit up. I'm getting goosebumps. I get teary-eyed from joy and excitement and just like, yes, my deja vu's increased. I'm aligned with something that just is like fueling me from the inside. And it's like, it's different for everybody in my belief. And mine is helping people discover more self-empowerment and the transformation process that entails. And then what we're talking about today in prep for this podcast is the retreat form. So for me right now in my life, I had no idea what my purpose or calling was until I started coaching like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that started lighting me up. And in conjunction with that now is the retreats. And I had a hunch, it was an intuition when I started yoga 8 years ago and I dated someone at that time, that there was a knowing because she taught yoga, she taught retreats, she did these things. It was like my soul was like, I meant to be doing that. But I was so far from that and I was just starting my journey. So I wasn't nowhere near ready to be doing that with any authentic value or awareness of what I was doing. But my soul knew. And I think that's important to share because me as a soul, as consciousness was like, this is important. Like, this is important, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were talking about when you were 5 or 6, I had stuff happen when I was like 7 or 9, where it's just that it was like, there's something else going on here.
Yeah.
And I feel like an alien. I feel like I'm honestly, in writing my book yesterday too, this is like a longer answer to this is, we talked about this earlier of like, I'm in literally the part of the chapter, the subsection's called I'm an Alien. And I always felt different. I always felt like, even my family, when I was a kid, sometimes I'd be like, was I adopted? I would
Yeah.
I just felt different. I would think differently. I would ponder. I would watch the sunset at like 7, 8 years old and ponder why existence was even there at all and why whatever created that existed in the first place. And was it a he? Was it a she? Why? What's the point? And so that to me connects to purpose, because in my weirdness, my feeling so different, and the pain that's come along with that journey as well has led me through like signposts of a kid or starting yoga and meditation, these like deja vus, these little feelings, right? Whether it's goosebumps or a knowing, and it's like I just I feel a culmination of that now just in the last few years of like, oh, this is where it was all pointing. And I'm seeing the breadcrumbs and the dots start connecting. And to me, that's, well, what you and someone else very close to us are now working on creating are like a blend of a South American retreat with a empowerment workshop with a cold plunge breath work. Like we're putting all this cool stuff together, and to teach with people, to groups, with a team. That's very important. And like traveling, community, sharing, just embodying this like energy of deeper stuff, other, like, let's connect with ourselves, let's grow, let's come to life, let's get out of the building, let's let ourselves be seen, and let's see others, and do that with others. And so that to me, this is a long answer, this is fun, but but that's how I see it. And it's never been more present than right now. And I'm so grateful that it is, I mean, man, it is manifesting on a level that I've never experienced before. It's so nourishing. It's been a hell of a ride to get there.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Ooh, that felt good.
No, I was really, I appreciate you fleshing that out too, because I think like that, as you know, like this isn't new to me. I struggle with trying to define a lot of things. I think that part of that's just kind of experiential personality thing. Like I don't like I don't love containers, and definitions often end up feeling like containers to me. But I think you nailed it. And I love what you brought up about the alignment and the feeling of home that is involved with that, with this idea of passion or purpose and calling. And I think those really I think resonate with me as well. Like just having that sense of belonging in that space, in that activity, like whatever that, because it is different for different people, whatever that activity or thing or internal practice that is, that really feels both exciting and grounding at the same time. I feel like that's a lot of that belonging sense, or that home feeling, and just feeling an internal alignment with that. And honestly, I don't know that that's something I felt much of before I was in my mid-20s. It wasn't really I think I heard people talk about it and stuff, but it wasn't actually an experience I'd felt or discovered before. And so I just continue to be fascinated by seeking that. And as you said, like when those things happen, like just paying attention to them, like something's important about what I'm doing right now that is giving me that feeling of alignment. That's giving that feeling of home, and being curious of that, and sitting with that and seeking to be in alignment with that more. It's been really neat just in our relationship too. I feel like I've felt more of that sense in the last year or so that I have in a long time. And having the relationships that are pointing toward empowerment, that are reflecting and being mirrors of what is important and what does light my soul up. I mean, just, I don't even know, 30 minutes, an hour ago, like I was crying out of excitement, out of joy, out of feeling seen and heard, and sharing that with another human. I mean, you were my physical response was in response to you explaining something that you had passion about, and uh, it was as if you were voicing something that was on my heart, and it was so neat to experience that. And I think um, those are a huge aspect of being in alignment and paying attention to that, and following that to show up for our purpose.
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing that up. Is that home piece,
Mm.
because I think dropping down a little bit more into that is that's where you and I have connected since the beginning. Was, whether most our friends are 10, 20, 30 years older than us, or just feeling just different, feeling like, for me, I felt like I didn't, belong most of my life.
Yeah.
And then feeling that more in retreats and workshops and traveling, and the, that that being so refreshing
Mm.
after a dark night of the soul of thinking, you know what, 8 years ago, I don't think I want to be on this planet anymore. It's not really working out too well for me. And then now, fast forward in our friendship and another friend that's very dear to us,
Mm-hmm.
is feeling at home in our friendship and now our work project, our passion project, of bringing together our uniqueness, our otherness, our woo-woo-ness, or not even woo-woo, our spiritualness, our depth, our open hearts, our curiosity. Woo-woo doesn't even do it justice. I don't like that word. It's our heart frequency,
Mm.
our genuine love and compassion and curiosity and support for each other, and being so interested in doing that together, building together, not just doing one-on-one coaching, like not just hanging out or talking. I mean, this podcast has a good manifestation, but like to do that with team, to do that with like family, to do that together, create and share together and build and let others out there in the world that are like us know, here's this really, really cool place that you can go. I'm mindful to not give away, I don't know, branding, different things, but like all the things we love, we embody, we do, we believe in, we teach, everything, and putting it into this really powerful thing. To do that alone, it's not really exciting at all.
Mm.
But like to do that with you guys and to bring other people in as we see fit, and to share that with others
Mm.
on a depth that is not typical
Mm-hmm.
for most humans, and to come to life in that.
Yeah.
And inspire others and bring them to life, the parts they've hidden or shunned or been afraid to embrace, or they felt other. Like that feels like home.
Mm-hmm.
And God, it makes me think again of when you and I eye gazed in Carlsbad and we're just both bawling, crying. It's like that stuff, and just
Yeah.
it's hard to put it into words.
Mm.
It's like when I think of people that I've motivational speakers or entrepreneurs, or these people that a lot of us, whether they're famous or not, like people, we look at them, it's like, wow, they've created this, they're living this dream. We all have that capacity.
Yeah.
It just takes a lot of courage, discipline, confidence, dreaming, belief, hard work. I think there's some luck involved. I think it has to do, in my model of the world, on a soul level of, in this lifetime, I believe that I choose why I'm here.
Mm.
And like the little hints and things in the third dimension that it's like, ooh,
Mm.
that is plucking a chord in me that's not normally plucked. I should pay attention to that, and how that's aligned with purpose.
Mm.
And I don't think there's really anything better than that. Maybe fleeting stuff, but I think on a daily, it is so exciting and nourishing to be able to create this with you guys and just feel less and less like an alien, and feeling more like, oh, I'm going to bring other aliens, and wow, there's other aliens on the planet, and
Yeah.
let's start making more tribe and community,
Mm.
and not following others that are doing it. I've done that
Mm-hmm.
for years,
Mm-hmm.
but taking the courage to why can't there's no reason we can't. We
Mm-hmm.
can. We are now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do more of that. And then
Mm-hmm.
let's learn in the process of what everyone else has to offer, whether we're
Yeah.
teaching or facilitating or not. I'm always learning, and it's so much fucking better than the alternative.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm.
yeah, man. Yeah, I don't even, I'm just kind of basking in the moment right now.
Yeah.
I don't even have a follow-up question, honestly, right now. My mind's
No,
just,
I can see that, and
this is interesting.
I'm sharing in that, and I think there's I appreciate you giving it that window into your experience of that, because it really correlates deeply with my internal experience of that as well, and I think the continually growing passion I have to participate with what does light me up, to participate with those breadcrumbs we get through life, that this is important, this is meaningful, um, this is what you're about, this means more than the paycheck or the job title or the house I live in, or the car I drive, or the neighborhood. It's like, what are we about? Like the internal calling, purpose, and just being sensitive and open to that. And then when we do find it, as you said, having the courage to then step into it, because I think fear is always an option. Um, the unknown of where it goes, or what it could mean, or what's the overhead of making X, Y, or Z happen. Uh, and I just find the more that I focus on that internal piece of what lights me up, the more I focus on the passion of the spiritual, the passion of being connected and being empowered. The Those barriers of like, how are we going to make it happen? They just get smaller and smaller, um, and they feel more and more like opportunities to learn. And I know, like, it's a word shift with that, but it honestly is feeling more and more like that. Like, these aren't things we have to overcome to do it. There's a lot of stuff we have to learn on the way to stepping into that. But I welcome that, and I'm excited about that. And the community piece is really huge for me. Um, I feel so much more, I don't know, connected, ignited, um, being supported by and supporting other people with a similar vision, and excitement around that. And obviously, there's differences and stuff in between, like, who we are and our stories and stuff, but just the opportunity to be in a community and to share that joy, that excitement, and to reflect back to each other, um, I think has been a huge piece of inspiring me to continue in this, uh, to be drawn toward those places um, that are aligned inside. I don't. Again, I kind of feel like my vocabulary is failing me, my ability to like express, um, just that knowing that I think we all have when we are in alignment with something that lights us up internally. Um, and there are, we've had examples of that around us. I think both of us have a lot of mentors that are examples of being connected. We've talked about Joe Dispenza and Tony Robbins, and I think like those are both great examples in different ways of people who have inspired us at times. But I feel like this piece is like taking it a step further and owning that and stepping into like, what's my journey in that? And I'm excited to participate in their journey, and that's been helpful. But how do I show up for that for myself? How do I create that atmosphere for me on a consistent basis? And how do I create that community, invite other people into it, so that it becomes something that I'm not occasionally participating with, but something that I'm consistently participating with. I just have so much excitement around that right now and moving forward. I'm just in a way overwhelmed by the opportunity that I think for years has felt so distant. But as I've grown and seen changes inside of me happen, and then witnessed them in you and others that are dearly connected to us right now, it feels like it just is, and is an opportunity for us to just step into. Yeah. How much do you feel like this purpose or calling thing is something like outside of us that we have to create, or is it more of like your awareness of it more of something that we become? It just is, and we become aligned with. Does that question make sense?
Totally. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I believe that I am a soul that is me, and I came into this body in this lifetime with a predetermined purpose or series of purposes. I can't know exactly what that is, but I think it's those signs and those things along the journey. Like, Steve Jobs would say, you can't connect the dots. You can only connect the dots looking back. You just have to trust that, looking forward, that they will connect. And so for me, when it comes to purpose being like external or internal, I think it's in all of us as a seed when we're born. That's my belief. And so for me, especially in writing this book now, it's like I'm remembering things and I'm seeing, and it's like, whoa, where it's within me and the outer world mirrors back to me how in alignment I am with that or not. And it's like that intuition, that knowing for me guides me to if I'm in that or not. So I think it's very within. And for me, like, the journey's been interesting because I was never that kid when we're growing up where it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like, I'm going to be an astronaut. And you're like, yeah. And they become an astronaut. You're like, kudos, man. I was like, I don't know. And I didn't know. And I was, let's see. I worked in customer service at a drugstore. I worked in retail. I was a telemarketer. I was a mechanical engineer. I was a sales engineer. I was an industrial real estate agent. I was a digital marketer for mental health, anywhere from social workers to psychiatrists. Then I became a self-empowerment, transformation, spiritual life coach. And now I'm working on retreats. Like, I have not known, I didn't have a clear path.
Right.
And I had an immense amount of shit along the way. A lot of suffering, a lot of confusion. And in studying like entrepreneurs and people that like take the less walked journey, the trailblazers and such, I see these things pop up again and again and again and again. It takes an immense amount of discomfort to step out of the norm, whether you call it the matrix or just get a picket fence and a job and a wife and a dog and kids, go to work 9 to 5. For some people, that tickles their fancy. I'm seeing more and more in the world that not, and more and more people like dying to get out of that formula because it's just a soul killer. And so for me, I think it's very internal. I think it takes an immense amount of courage and pain and discomfort and change and dedication to face the unknown, to somehow find one's purpose. That's just been my experience.
Yeah.
And so that's how I see it, because I didn't, like I said, I didn't know my purpose until 3 years ago. And even still, it was like, it wasn't clear. I started waking up to it in a way 7 years ago and traveling the world and all these, I was waking up, and then I started coaching, and it's like, this feels good. Whoa. You mean I get paid to like speak to other people in alien language and help them change their lives? This is fantastic.
Yeah.
This feels like home. And it just evolves. I think it's very personal.
Yeah.
It's very internal. And I think if we don't take action, that's where it stays.
Yeah.
I think it can die there. And a lot of people, I think that's what happens, because you have to face fear and discomfort and a lot of uncomfortable shit along the way.
Yeah.
And that is the gift, though. Like, that's what makes it cool. That is the journey. And I can't imagine living any other way. Like, it's there's no plan B now. That's it. And so I think about, for like, when I was in pain, when I was lost, when I've there was months where I cried every day in my life. There's just depression, there's been anxiety, there's been panic attacks, there's been near suicide, there's been a lot of shit along the way. And to me, it was because I was so unbelievably disconnected from myself and my purpose. Living at a point made no sense. I felt so alone. I felt just so lost. Like, it was horrible. And growing through that, to now be able to authentically say, I'm living a big part of my purpose, and that in the last 2 months has elevated massively. And now I'm sharing that with you. We're going to share it with someone else close to us, most certainly. What? How the fuck did that happen?
So exciting.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you too. So dabbling in as much authenticity as you're comfortable here. From what I know about your past, which is yours to share, of course, what are you willing to share about your journey of how kind of like putting the question to you, how has that been for you internally, externally, of like your low points, your evolution to where you are today, and how that connects to purpose? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Does that question make sense?
It does. There's a lot there.
There is a lot there. I just gave you a smorgasbord.
Yeah. I'm sitting with it for a second. Thank you for the question. What comes up for me initially is there's been a massive shift in initially thinking that the purpose and calling was something I did, something external, and something that was destination based. That I had to become something or do something to achieve my calling or purpose. And I think a massive shift that really happened through really low points. I mean, like, it's been consistent with our stories, and a lot of people we know that not the most important lessons and realizations we've had in life have been in conjunction with the most painful, lowest, depressive, isolation, kind of those themes happening right alongside the awareness or the truth coming or seeing it another way. So I think there was a lot of early 20s, mid 20s, I had that was kind of that was my lowest point, um, internally for the longest period of time, struggling with uh, depression, suicidal thoughts, just feeling alone, this immense isolation and disconnection um, from community, from from purpose, from meaning in life, and and I think out of that, I started to see how much it was a an internal question, that our purpose and calling and that fulfillment is an active thing, that is something we participate with, something that we pursue, um, not as external but connect with internally. And I think that shift for me, as not seeing it something I was trying to achieve, but something I wanted to be in each and every moment, was a huge shift. Um, and I think that raised a bunch more questions inside of me about: am I worthy of having purpose and calling? Am I enough? Um, and those are things that we've touched on before, but I feel like there's so much interplay and overlay of those different themes in our empowerment journey and in discovering ourselves. And so for me, it's become much more of an internal thing, something I realize that it's something I participate with daily, something that it's not a destination. It is the journey itself. Like that is life. Like, and I think it can be so disempowering for us to have a goal and trying to achieve it and seeing ourselves as other from it and not enough until we reach that, and to shift that to see that, like, the whole process is a journey toward that. The whole journey is a becoming, is an arriving, um, is a being right in that moment. I think that's really shifted for me and allowed me to see joy even in the pain. It's allowed me to see purpose even in isolation. It's allowed me to look internally and ask questions, as opposed to requiring my external environment to shift for me to know something about myself. Um, and I think that's been um, something I'm incredibly grateful for, even right now, um, because it I think it allows me to see opportunity regardless of the situation. It allows me to see um, some way that I can show up, regardless of how painful or dark a situation might seem. And I see those things as temporary, and my being as being the thing that is consistent. Um, and it's kind of a switching of priorities and where the focus is, and focusing on how I'm showing up internally and how I feel internally, as opposed to trying to adjust my external world to make it fit to make me happy, because that's just a losing battle. Like, not
Yeah.
gonna happen. Um, but the wonderland that you can create in your own life by realizing the agency that you have at any moment, uh, to step into authenticity, to joy, to empower, to be grateful for whatever it is you do have in this very moment, is has been life changing. And I think those are the breadcrumbs that I'm continuing to follow, um, and so excited those are collectively leading toward working with people and doing retreats and um, helping other people experience that in their own life is
Yeah.
um, I don't have the words for just the excitement that brings, and it just feels so much more aligned than any paycheck I've ever chased, or um, you know the cars I had on my wall as a kid that I was like, when I get older and have one of those, like, I'll have made it, I'll have arrived. Uh, it's I'm so grateful to know that I already have. I'm there now.
Yeah.
and all the rest is just it's extra. It doesn't mean it's not wonderful and beautiful, and all these accolades and stuff can't be great too.
Yeah.
They're just not the substance. We are.
Right.
Uh, the journey is where the value is, and um, I know it was a broad question. I touched on a lot of it. I don't know if
Awesome.
I answered all of it.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. I think to your point, I want to touch on that is if I had to summarize, like, to me, living in my purpose and my calling nourishes me in such a way that all that tangible stuff, all those, even happiness, because I feel like that's fleeting, even
Hmm.
all that stuff, they're not inherently good or bad, but it's like then I legitimately am not even thinking about it. I'm
Hmm.
just being fulfilled in the moment.
Hmm.
I'm authentically just nourished and excited to get up in the morning and ready to see what the day has in store. And if that stuff comes, cool. Like, but it is so not important
Hmm.
and not from this place, because I do know that here,
Right.
but from here,
Well said.
it's like, yeah, let's do that. And let's cry and let's laugh and let's share it with others and see where that goes. Ah,
Hmm.
I think about too what other teachers have given me in moments,
Hmm.
whether it was a workshop, a class, a friend, a mentor, a documentary, a film, a public speaker, and the moments I've cried and felt seen, even like not they didn't see me, but like I saw them and then felt seen in the process.
Hmm.
I felt that connection through vulnerability and them living out their purpose. And I feel like to be able to start giving that to more people, because I
Hmm.
have in coaching.
Yeah.
And I literally have cried after sessions too with the feedback
Hmm.
I've gotten. And I'm like, oh my God, this is gold.
Hmm.
I worked today?
I know.
What?
Yeah.
No, I served. And like then thinking of us doing that with more people, it's like, what?
Hmm.
OMG. OMG. Uh, so that's my immediate response. I am aware for the sake of time, we do need to wrap up soon. So I was thinking of an interesting speed round. We haven't done this. We didn't even talk about this. Just hit me. Maybe I'll ask you like 3 speed round questions. And you can do the same to me if you want. You down for that?
Sure.
Cool. And I want to tie
Let
them
me
to
know
the
what I'm
top.
agreeing to. It sounds great.
I know. I know. You're like, I don't know, but let's try it. So, okay. I'm just going to come up with 3 questions that I really want to know about you on this topic and speed round up. First thing, when it comes to you being in flow, in alignment, in purpose, in calling, whatever words in this arena resonate, what has been your biggest struggle or challenge in being on this journey and cultivating this way of living?
I think the biggest challenge for me that pops right in my head is just forgetting what I'm about and tapping into like other people's dreams and stuff and trying to pursue someone else's idea of wealth, someone else's idea of a good job, someone else's and not just um, allowing myself to be on my own journey and my own path and kind of a grass is greener type thing, just like looking at someone else, be like, they have it together. I'm just going to copycat and do that. Um, and I have found zero satiation or sustenance in following somebody else's dream.
Second question, why is living in this way so important or nourishing to you?
Mm. Well, this is great. Um, because this is where I'm truly alive. This is where I really feel connected. I feel at home. Um, I feel not just centered in my own alignment, but I feel like I'm of service and connected with others. Like when I'm following that, like I feel like my life, even just conversations I have with others, can be something that inspires, something that um, provides a little joy, a little grace uh, to somebody else. And and when I'm not living in that way, like the isolation is it's everywhere. Um, and I feel like I'm just trying to like wear different masks and stuff. And so like this has just been
Mm.
this is where I'm able to be full. This is where I'm able to express that, to experience that. And there's not downsides to it. I mean, I think that's the wild piece about this. Is like there's even in something that I used to experience or categorize as failure, I don't even see that anymore. It's just an opportunity to like see something differently, to learn something, to try something I haven't tried before. I'm not saying I don't still feel like there's times I could have done something better or whatever, but I just don't see it as failure anymore. It's just on the path and an opportunity to grow, to expand.
Love it.
Mm,
Okay, last question. If you could tell your 18-year-old self one thing
mm,
about this topic that would be heated,
mm,
I guess, in a sense, what would
mm,
you tell your 18-year-old self about this stuff?
mm.
What do you
Well,
wish you would have known or have been
that's
taught at
really
that
interesting. I'm trying to think of something my 18-year-old self would have listened to, and there's not much. I
time? Ooh,
was
that's a good
I was
point.
not very
Okay,
receptive as an 18-year-old uh,
that's a
to
really interesting point.
others'
Okay.
ideas or whatever. But I think
Huh.
just in the heart of the question, what I'm sensing, like I think that I would have loved to know that it's about being and not about doing. Um, that this journey, like the it's a subtle energetic difference in those two ideas. But
Oh
I
yeah.
spent so much of my early life trying to do um, with just no satiation, like only more pain, more isolation. The more I did, the further I felt from whatever I was trying to achieve by the doing. Um, and to know that being on this journey was the answer.
Just got goosebumps, man.
Loki.
All over. That was gold.
Um,
Woo!
um,
Okay. Any questions you'd like to ask me before we
well,
wrap up?
I admittedly feel a little in the spotlight of not having any questions for you. But I am interested in why. Oh, this yeah. When did this topic become, or this idea of like your purpose or um, your calling, like when did that kind of form for you and become important to like become aligned with that and know that? Like, what was the events or impetus in your life that brought this question up, and then subsequently you desired to seek that out?
Damn. Okay. We should do this more often, by the way. This is
Oh, this
really
is
fun.
great.
Yeah. Especially when we have our first guest on in a couple of days.
Can't wait.
Um, I like this. So my answer would be when I quit industrial real estate, started yoga and meditation, did ayahuasca, and started connecting with my spiritual side
Mm,
and felt an immediate knowing and need to travel to Bali, which then led to India and many other countries. That was when it started, where I was so disconnected, lonely, miserable, depressed, and lost and confused and uninterested in life. There was like, there has to be something more.
mm,
There has to be. Like, there has to be. What am I missing? And so, without knowing what it was going to be, but having those intuitions, that was 8 years ago. Um, almost exactly. I think I started yoga 8 years ago to the month, even,
mm,
which is interesting. But that's when it started for me. And it was just like, there's got to be more. And there's no plan B. And I
mm.
don't know what that looks like. So I wasn't seeking my purpose, but I was seeking a connection with myself that made life interesting and worth living.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Um, next question I had for you is what is your intention behind any habits or practices you have that help you stay in that alignment, stay in that being energy on this journey?
God, this is so much fun. Oh, we have to do this more. This because your answers were very cool. And this is fun to answer as well. Unsurprisingly, to anyone who knows me, it would be right now cold plunges.
Mm,
Um, it's varied between breath work, meditation, lifting weights, and cold plunges. Um, right now, it's cold plunges, and it is the reason because every day I wake up, whether I feel like crap or I feel good or I feel okay, that cold plunge forces me to surrender
mm,
to discomfort, surrender to my duty to show up in the world, surrender to discipline, surrender to the day, to showing up in life and showing up for myself. And so the cold plunge also teaches me that even though I don't want to do it right now, there's a higher purpose, there's a higher calling, there's a higher reason for me doing this uncomfortable thing that my mind is trying to wuss out and just run away from. And I know if I do it, I know that every time I feel immensely better
mm.
mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. It is like night and day. And that's connected to the way I live, to what we're talking about. It's connected to everything. So that's the biggest one right now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Last question. I was wondering, if you have one, what is your process for evaluating whether you're in alignment with an opportunity or not, whether it's something that connects with you or not?
God, these are good questions, man. Touche, my friend. Overall, I need to slow down.
Mm,
This is where meditation, three things: meditation / alone time, journaling, and then sometimes talking with those that are in my inner circle and asking some questions. Those are all the kind of the action items, the doings. But the real way that I know if something's right for me or not is that, and this usually takes a few days, depending on the decision. Just I've noticed my system automatically sleeping on it, doing those things. I get to a sense of pono, right? This thing that you and I were taught through Huna is when I think about what I'm considering doing or not. Is my system heavy, closed? Is it restricted? Is it open? Is it energized? Is it excited? Is it in alignment? And it's not like whether I want to do it or not. It's like, what will that lead to? What will that action give me or give others? Like, what is the goal of this? So it's like there could be a discomfort, work, whatever. I may not want to do that. Maybe excited about that. But what will the decision lead to? What will that create? And I sit with it and I do those things, and then I usually know on an intuitive level, a physical level, sensational level, it just feels right. It feels good in my body, and then I know that I can say yes to it.
mm. I appreciate your answer so much, man.
Yeah, man.
That was fun.
That was fun. So thank you. And
Yeah.
So for anyone watching that has any feedback, questions, topics you want us to talk about, or even anybody you'd want us to bring on the show, we welcome it all in the Spotify questions and the YouTube questions, wherever you saw this. Please let us know.
Mm-hmm.
We really welcome the engagement and the feedback. That means a lot to us. That's a big reason we're doing this.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I think just in addition to that, we would love to hear things, how you feel uh, about just finding your purpose, what that looks like for you. Any things that you would add to what we said? Because that's one of the reasons we love this platform and just dialoguing about these things together too. It's just the opportunity we have to grow and see and flesh out our understanding or even our ability to step into these ideas. So I'd love to hear that. Anything you feel like we missed, love knowing that too. Ways that we can learn and grow from that. So appreciate it.
Amen, brother.
All right. Till
We'll
next
catch
time.
you soon. Take care.